Hi everybody, this is Dr. Bobby with Pain Rehab PT, and today I want to speak about 5 ways in which grief can show up in the body. I had my own personal experience with grief as I lost my brother, which will be 5 years this year. He passed away in November 2020. This is a picture of my brother here on his wedding day, which was a year before the year he passed in 2019. And when he passed, I had many different symptoms show up. So the first symptom that showed up for me was pain. I had really severe hip pain the week he passed. It was a week after he passed and before the funeral. I developed really severe hip spasm in my left leg, and it kind of just came out of the blue. I think I might have been sitting down and writing his obituary with my sister-in-law. And so again, pain is a very common symptom that people can experience, and it can be tied to that time that happens around the loss, or it can also happen with milestones and memorials and days like that. Throughout the year, you have birthdays and anniversaries and holidays, and at those times, pain can show up, but like the symptoms I'm speaking about, they can all show up as well. Second symptom I wanted to speak about was fatigue. Fatigue is very common. After my brother passed, I found myself being so tired. There were times where I had to take multiple naps a day, and you'll find out that it's actually very common. It's very normal. And during that time, it's really just best for you just to take your time. Rest as you need to. Grief takes its toll on the brain and on the body then. And so it's just important to just give yourself that time to rest. Saying no to things if you don't need to do certain activities or go out or do anything like, it's good to just take care of yourself. And again, it's just a part of your brain trying to help you and your body to take it easy and trying to process this grief. The third one is insomnia. Insomnia can happen for many people, myself included. You're processing a lot. There's a lot that's gone on, especially on the loss. If it was a traumatic loss or non-traumatic, it's different as well in terms of how it'll affect you. In my case, it was more of a traumatic loss. My brother passed of a heart attack, and there was a lot to process, a lot to think about, a lot of things that didn't make sense, especially at such a young age when he passed. And so again, it's one of those things that comes along with grief. It's meant to be a temporary issue that you can deal with. Hopefully, again, we're hoping these symptoms don't last because that becomes more complicated grief. And so at that time for myself, I tried to just process things as best I could. If I couldn't sleep, I just allowed that. I didn't try to force myself to try to go to bed or anything like that or sleep. So again, it's another common symptom that people deal with. GI upset is another one that could be very common. I myself experienced that at times, and just last year alone, I experienced that. Had a IBS exacerbation of symptoms, which happened with going to a grief conference, which is something I haven't done in many years anyway, but especially after my brother passed, I never went to a grief conference. And so in going to that grief conference, I had an exacerbation of IBS symptoms, which lasted for months, and it lasted until my birthday, which was in September. And the reason it lasted until my birthday, why it's significant, is because my birthday was the day that my brother got married. And so for me, it's a very significant day, but it's also a day that I don't look forward to. It was hard for me to process it and be happy on a day like that for myself and celebrate my birthday. But my body, my brain was trying to help me and protect me from dealing with that and dealing with that grief. And so until I learned to process my grief more, work with a grief support group, and learn how to celebrate my brother on days like that. My birthday and any major holidays or memorials that come up is learning how to celebrate him and remember our loss at the same time, so it becomes more of like a bittersweet type of memory. But that is what helps to overcome this feeling of the day, or some of these memories can just be all negative. And the last one I wanted to speak about, at least, again, this is not an all-inclusive list, but the last one I want to speak about is sickness. Sickness is very common. People have weakened immune systems from the time of just the stress of the loss of a loved one. It's very common. Also, your brain can create sickness for you as a way to help you and protect you, to help you to stay home, to rest in bed, take it easy. It's a way to help you to process your grief and to deal with all the physical symptoms that come along as well. So I just wanted to briefly speak about 5 symptoms that are very common with grief. I go into more detail of my experience of grief and the loss of my brother and what I've experienced from pain to other body symptoms. And I'm just going to link it in the video up here. And I did this interview with Jim Prusak at the Pain PT. And I go into more detail about my story of how I learned of mind-body work as a physical therapist, and my grief story and how it showed up for me and how I was able to work through the grief to be able to overcome my symptoms. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you there.